Hey, I'm Pops, and I want to talk to you about Darlings. Yeah, you heard it. I have paper notes on this one. It's a long story, but here we go. Let's talk about Darlings. This is a Netflix film, a brand new one actually, 2022. Been enjoying Indian cinema. This one I'm not quite sure counts. I'll probably tell you why in a minute. This is actually meant to be a dark comedy, and we'll debate that as well. Anyway, if you've seen it, if you want to give comments, you want to give me your thoughts, I appreciate all that interaction as I am new to Indian cinema, trying to engage some material that has really been very good in comparison to American cinema over the last few years. So this just dropped on Netflix about a week ago, and it's received a lot of praise. And I want to just go through it real quick with you. So the film is set. You have a quick little flashback, and you have this meeting between Badru and Hamza. And basically, he's got a job. He wants to propose. And it's kind of like you have the implication that there's been some promises on what life will be like if and when they get married. And fast forward to 3 years, and Badru, and they're living in sort of like, I wouldn't say squalor, but they're living in sort of like a rundown apartment building. Badru's mom also lives in the building, kind of like across like an open area in the same building. That's I guess they're looking to have renovation done. And that's probably one of like the subplots is that Hamza is not interested in cooperating with that decision. But basically, he's an alcoholic. He is a domestic abuser. He's physically beating her regularly. Sometimes he'll come up with silly reasons. Sometimes he just comes off the handle. There's all this random talk about, food. She's not a good cook or not. You have all these different things. And basically the short version of this is he drinks a lot. He's a horrible human. He beats her. He's an abuser. There we go. She even tries to come up with this idea of getting this sexy dress, and they can have a baby, right? So she's going to look all pretty. She sabotages the condoms, by the way, which I thought was like totally sketch. Like if you need to do that with your husband, you're asking for a different kind of problem. But anyway, that notwithstanding, let's see who else we have in here. We have Zulfi. Zulfi is kind of an interesting character because I don't know we have a way in America of relating to someone like this, but I guess in a city like that, you might need it. And then is he, I guess he's talking about someone that passed away. So he has all these appliances and things like that, and he's trying to sell them. And it's funny because, and it is contradictory to what happens later in the film, because there's like a negotiation with the mom, and he's ready to like leave because she's lowballing him. And then when Badru comes in, she's like, no, it'll be even less. And he goes for it. And then later on, we understand his motivations are significantly different. But anyway, that notwithstanding, he's fine. He's there. And then you have a little bit of the work environment, the uncle and this builder meeting. Like I said, Hamza's not cooperating with all of that. He creates more conflict by just being basically a jerk to even those places. And then, what happened to my screen? That was weird. Hold on. Sorry, guys. Okay, there we go. Anyway, so Shamsu is the mom. So I didn't mention her name. So Shamshi or Shamshu? Shamshi. No, Shamsu. Sorry, guys. The one letter difference to us makes a difference. And these are not names we would commonly use. I try to do my best, and I do apologize when I get things wrong. So I am sorry. I am trying to follow. I got to remember we're following everything in the English subtitles, so things can get lost in translation. So I try to expect that. So anyway, so all of this gets it just keeps going and going and going. You see like a neighbor like feeling bad for her in a way, but no one interacts. Zulfi ultimately does go to the police and say, listen, he's an abuser, whatever. And he starts to think that they're having an affair. He starts to think that Zulfi and his wife are having an affair, but he talks his way around that. He plays like the typical abuser, talks his way out of it. The mom's like, we should just kill him. Anyway, so there's this whole thing about divorce, and you shouldn't divorce, and where will it be, and they'll be able to recover from that. And the police are played as like trying to help but not, and everyone's like pulling them back and forth, and I think it's supposed to be played for comedy, but none of it works. And I got to be honest, that all of this is happening, none of this feels real comedic. Like, I don't feel like any of the comedy is landing. It's all just dark and really, really dark. It doesn't come across as really being funny, even if there are little jokes along the way. Anyway, long story short, at this point, Badru drops the charges, agrees to have a baby. That's going to be the plan. He's going to stop drinking. And mom gives the typical scorpion and the frog story, right? Scorpion right on the back of the frog, going across the lake, ultimately stings him. Now we're both going to die. Why'd you do it? I'm a scorpion. It's in my nature, right? You can't change. And there's some truth to that. Like, some people don't change. Like, I think that a lot of folks won't do the work and change. But more importantly, like, if you have someone who's a drinker or an addict like that, even if they kick that addiction, they can run the risk of picking up another addiction or having another problem that's in its place, rather than not just finding health in other ways. And Hamza, it just keeps getting worse. She's pregnant. He's still drinking. He finds out he has like a liver cirrhosis, and that's going to change him. But long story short, all this drama continues. He even pushes her down the stairs. I think that was during the affair debate. And she has a miscarriage. So it's and there's some really dark places. Like, there's a scene where they're talking about the India population being so big, and that the China one kid, one family policy is better. And like, some of this stuff's really heavy, and I don't quite know why they want to. They're labeling all of it as a dark comedy, but all of this is the dark, and there's no comedy really. And poor Badru, she doesn't know what to do. She's hearing mom, and I guess there's a little bit of a twist and it turns. And basically, long and story is, she comes up with this scheme to treat him the way she's been treated, right? So she coordinates with, I think it's an uncle. I'm not sure I understand the relationships there, but he gets her basically like tranquilizer. If you use 2 of these things, knocks him out. Ties Hamza up to torture him. Hamza's tied in this chair. He has to sign the building papers. She does so whenever he finds the outfit, the red sexy outfit, he didn't believe this. He didn't believe her. Didn't even give her a chance to talk about it was to get pregnant. He thought Zulfi was involved, whatever. Anyway, so he used this red shoe like this around the table, which, by the way, they're very, very good because they don't hit your hands. Very, very, very talented, easy, hard to find. Anyway, she does the same, and she actually is better than he is, and then ultimately just hits him on purpose. So the revenge element is working, and I think some of the look of it, like you can see the way he's tied up and all of that, is actually almost silly. Like, if you were actually tied up like this, you would probably be struggling a lot, probably be able to figure out a way to get yourself out, breaking the chair, what have you. So the film kind of goes through these different sequences of when Hamza gets himself free, doesn't get himself free. The boss shows up at the house. There's panic. At one point, they knock him back out again, tie him back up again. The mom and Badru are constantly going back and forth about what they're going to do before Zulfi finds out. And Zulfi's like, we got to let him go. And then, we'll do this, we'll do that. And the police are involved in different parts. So it's kind of this long, drawn out back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And they're comedic moments. But I don't know that any of it plays real well because the backstory is actually just so dark. Like, the solution to dealing with an alcoholic abuser is not murder, and it's a hard sell for an audience. I think would have played better if they accidentally had killed him. And even though all this was happening, like how to get him out of the building with nosy neighbors and their culture and all those kinds of things. Because these moments are like in it when they have him drugged and trying to get him out. People are watching. Those kinds of things. Anyway, so and again, the police and all that dynamic is a little weird too. again, some of the stuff just maybe not have translated well. And I will say this too: I thought this was an Indian cinema film, but they're Muslim, so I'm not naive. I know there are Muslims in India, but I thought it was just, does it create another layer of confusion of the culture? Because it could be different for the Muslims living in India versus the traditional Indian cinema focus. Is that another element that I'm not missing? Because it seemed like it was strange where they're suddenly like talking about Allah and whatever. And I'm like, okay, I'm confused. They're not being presented as devout Muslim at all because they don't ever pray. They don't have any of the other traditions that go along with that. I was just very confused with where we're setting this and how it was going to play out within the family dynamic. And it's just stuff that we gloss over in the middle of jokes or talking about drinking. Anyway, so the long story short is they're going to force a confession out of him and then murder him. And they put him on a video call and they have all of that. They've tied him up. They're going to put him on some train tracks. And then at the last minute, Badru's like, I can't do it because now I'm just like him. In other words, so her plan of I'm going to create revenge by treating him the way she's been treating, it's like she can't do it. She's too good of a person. And I will say, if there's any bright spot in this film, Alia Bhatt, I think it's how you say her name. She's the lead actress. She plays Badru. She's really great. She pulls it off. She brings it home. Now I will say, all the other casts are fine, right? Shamsu's fine. Zulfi's fine. Hamza's okay at best. Like, I don't care for Hamza much, but I'm not sure because I'm not supposed to like him. Anyway, they're going to kill him. Train tracks. He's been drunk, right? They've convinced everybody he's drunk. The uncle's figured out some of this. And obviously, there's a backstory that we're going to get to. And he shows up just in time to see that he's actually there. He's been untied. He's ranting and raving and drunk and crazy and whatever. And then a train actually hits and kills him. Okay? So now he is a witness to the actual death, not necessarily a witness to the scheme and getting him there and all of that. So he becomes like their alibi. And it was fine. And then the aftermath is where you have the twist. The twist is, of course, that Shamsu comes clean. She had the same situation with the dad. And the dad was an awful human, and she murdered him. The uncle had covered it up. And the other twist is that Zulfi has the hots for mom, not for Badru. So there's a quick scene where he confesses that because he's trying to be off the hook of who he's, it's all about an affair gone wrong. He's like, well, no, I actually have, my love interest is actually her. I'm sorry if that's weird. You're the one I actually like. And then, of course, she kisses him later. And I thought all of that was actually really kind of cute. It was awkward at times, but it was kind of cute. And so I like the fact that Badru is breaking the curse, the family cycle of bad relationships, and it led to murder. And in this case, they didn't really murder him, but they put him in, okay. So overall, there are some good moments in the film. Like I said, Alia Bhatt's performance is really, really good, especially for someone that she's I don't know how old she is or how many things that she's done. Let's see if I can see. Yeah, she's only 29, so she's got a bright future. She's a beautiful lady, very skilled with her emotional roller coasters. I don't know that the film did her justice on this whole comedic versus dark comedy stuff, because it never goes super dark and she becomes like, I'm going to get him, because it always is still kind of faintly lighthearted, and then it's never really as comedic as they think they want it to be. And again, you guys can tell me if you think that I'm just missing things and that within the framework of all of this, it is playing better, and I'm just not getting it because it doesn't translate well for me. Because I felt like this was the weakest of the Indian cinema films I've seen so far. And Netflix has a history here in the States of like a lot of our films and stuff that are on there are just weaker versions of something else. So for instance, Gray Man and Red Notice are just more like generic spy adventure films compared to other movies that are better. It's not that they're terrible. They're just like, yeah, they're okay. Don't hit their marks. Maybe not quite live up to the expectations. So anyway, tell me what you think. This is Darlings. Again, it's on Netflix. Just came out. You can tell me what you think. It's not something I'd recommend. It's just I would never watch it again. Even though I would say I did enjoy, elements of it and performances from it. So those are my thoughts. And I don't know, like I said, you tell me what you guys think. I'm Pops, and hopefully you enjoy.